A 19-year-old woman watches horror movies with her sister in their basement bedroom and vanishes before sunrise, leaving behind only bloodstains in her abandoned car. For 11 years, her family searches for answers, while her remains lay hidden in the woods, less than 2 miles from home. Nearly 4 decades later, advanced DNA technology finally reveals the predator who had been hiding in plain sight all along. February 25, 1984, East Windsor, New Jersey. The Macho family lives a quiet, comfortable life on Cherrybrook Lane in this tight-knit community about 50 miles northeast of Philadelphia. At the center of their world is Donna Dee Macho, a bright young woman with dreams bigger than the small town that raised her. Donna enters this world on October 16, 1964, in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, born to Ronald Wayne and Betty Lou Thompson Macho. When her parents' marriage ends, Betty finds love again with a man named Garland, who embraces Donna and her sisters as his own daughters. The blended family relocates to New Jersey, where they build a warm, loving home filled with laughter and support. Growing up alongside her sisters Julie and Toni Renee, Donna develops into a confident, ambitious teenager. She graduates from Hightstown High School and immediately secures a position as a legal secretary, demonstrating the work ethic and professionalism that everyone who knows her expects. Her co-workers describe her as reliable and personable, someone who brightens the office just by walking through the door. But Donna's true passion lies elsewhere. With her striking features and natural charisma, she dreams of breaking into the modeling industry. She takes on modeling jobs whenever possible, building a portfolio and making connections. Her family watches with pride as she pursues this goal with the same determination she brings to everything else in her life. Donna isn't just dreaming, she's actively working toward making those dreams reality. At 19, Donna stands at the threshold of her future. She balances her steady job as a legal secretary with her modeling aspirations, saving money and planning her next steps. She's the kind of daughter who still lives at home, not because she has to, but because she values family. The basement bedroom she calls her own gives her independence while keeping her close to the people she loves most. Her 14-year-old sister Julie looks up to her. Their relationship goes beyond typical sibling bonds. They're genuine friends who share secrets, clothes, and late-night conversations about everything from boys to dreams of the future. February 25, 1984, unfolds like any typical Saturday for the Macho household. Donna spends the day handling errands and enjoying her weekend, while her parents and sisters go about their own activities. As evening approaches, the family settles into their comfortable routines. Betty and Garland retire upstairs to their bedroom, while Donna and Julie decide to have a sisters' movie night in the basement. The clock creeps past midnight as the two young women curl up in Donna's room, the glow of the television illuminating their faces. They've chosen horror movies for their late-night entertainment, the kind of films that make you jump at shadows and double-check that doors are locked. Neither sister realizes that real horror waits just hours away, something far more terrifying than anything Hollywood could create. The hours tick by as Donna and Julie immerse themselves in their movie marathon. The basement bedroom feels like their own private world, insulated from the sleeping household above. They talk between scenes, sharing the easy conversation that only sisters can have. At 2 a.m., Julie's eyes grow heavy. She stretches, yawns, and tells Donna she's heading to bed. "I'm going to watch a little more," Donna replies, settling deeper into her spot. Julie says goodnight and pads off to her own room, leaving Donna alone with the flickering television screen. This moment marks the last time anyone in the Macho family sees Donna alive. Upstairs, Betty and Garland sleep soundly, unaware that something sinister unfolds in the quiet hours of early morning. The house remains peaceful. No screams pierce the night. No sounds of struggle wake the sleeping family. Whatever happens in those dark hours between 2 a.m. and dawn occurs in complete silence. When Betty wakes on Sunday morning, February 26th, she follows her usual routine. She moves through the house, expecting to see her daughters emerging for breakfast. Julie appears, but Donna's door remains closed. Betty assumes her older daughter is sleeping in after the late night. Hours pass. The morning stretches into afternoon. By early afternoon, concern begins to creep in. Betty knocks on Donna's door. No response. She opens it to find the room empty, the bed unmade, the television still on. Donna's purse sits on her dresser. Her wallet remains untouched. But Donna herself is nowhere to be found. Betty's concern transforms into worry. She checks every room in the house, calling Donna's name. She asks Julie when she last saw her sister. "Around 2 a.m., Julie answers, confusion crossing her young face. "She was watching TV." Garland joins the search. They check the backyard, the garage, anywhere Donna might have gone. Then someone thinks to look outside for her car. They rush to the driveway. The car is gone. For a moment, relief washes over them. Maybe Donna went out early. Maybe she drove to work for that unfinished project she mentioned, or met up with a friend. But something feels wrong. Donna would have told someone. She always does. And why would she leave without her purse? Betty calls Donna's workplace. No one has seen her. She contacts Donna's friends. None of them have heard from her since Saturday. With each phone call, Betty's dread grows heavier. She knows her daughter. This isn't like Donna. Something is terribly wrong. By evening, the family can no longer deny their fears. Garland contacts the East Windsor Township Police Department to report Donna missing. Officers arrive at the Cherrybrook Lane home as darkness falls. They interview the family, taking notes about Donna's habits, her friends, her routine. They ask about boyfriends, arguments, any reason Donna might have for leaving on her own. The family insists Donna would never just disappear. She's responsible, close with her family, happy with her life. She has no reason to run away. The officers take down her description. 19 years old, attractive, with dreams of modeling. Last seen wearing casual clothes in her basement bedroom. Before we continue with what happened that night, hit that subscribe button if you want to see justice served in cases like this. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from? The first 24 hours of a missing person case are critical. Officers fan out across East Windsor, checking the places a young woman might go. They visit gas stations, convenience stores, friends' houses. They look for any sign of Donna or her vehicle. As Sunday night bleeds into Monday morning, the search intensifies. Then, on Monday, February 27th, a patrol officer spots something. A car sits abandoned in a remote area near the local sewer treatment plant. The officer runs the plates. It's Donna's vehicle. Officers immediately secure the scene and call for investigators. The car sits alone, about 2 miles from the Macho home, in an area that sees little foot traffic. Detectives approach carefully, documenting everything before they touch anything. The doors are unlocked. Donna's keys rest on the driver's seat. But it's what investigators find inside that turns this missing person case into something far more sinister. Blood. Spatter marks stain the passenger seat and interior surfaces. Not massive amounts, but enough to tell investigators that violence occurred inside this vehicle. The pattern suggests someone was injured while sitting in the passenger seat. Crime scene technicians photograph every inch of the car's interior, collecting samples and processing fingerprints. Detectives now face a grim reality. Donna didn't leave voluntarily. Someone took her. Someone hurt her. The abandoned car transforms the case from a missing person investigation into a likely abduction. But where is Donna? And who took her? Investigators return to the Macho home with new urgency. They need to process Donna's bedroom as a potential crime scene. With the family's cooperation, forensic technicians descend on the basement room where Donna was last seen. They dust for fingerprints, collect fiber evidence, and search for any signs of forced entry or struggle. What they discover in that bedroom provides a crucial clue, though investigators won't understand its full significance for nearly 4 decades. Forensic technicians find semen in Donna's bedroom. The presence of biological evidence suggests a sexual assault occurred in this space, in this home, while Donna's family slept upstairs. Investigators collect the samples carefully, knowing this evidence might eventually lead them to the perpetrator. But there's a problem. DNA analysis in 1984 is still in its infancy. The technology exists, but it's nowhere near as precise or reliable as it will become in future decades. Technicians can determine blood type and some genetic markers, but they can't create the kind of definitive DNA profile that modern investigators rely on. The biological evidence gets stored, catalogued, and preserved, waiting for a time when technology might catch up to the case's needs. Investigators work to reconstruct Donna's final hours. Based on Julie's account, Donna was alive and well at 2 a.m. The family heard nothing unusual throughout the night. This tells investigators that whoever entered the Macho home did so quietly, most likely through an unlocked door or window. East Windsor in 1984 is the kind of community where many families don't lock their doors at night, trusting in the safety of their neighborhood. That trust has been shattered. What investigators found next would send the case in a direction no one expected. The East Windsor Township Police Department mobilizes every available resource. This is exactly the kind of case that keeps law enforcement up at night. A young woman taken from her own home while her family sleeps nearby, leaving behind only traces of violence and an abandoned vehicle. Detectives begin building a timeline. They know Donna is alive at 2 a.m. when Julie leaves her in the basement. The family discovers her missing sometime in the early afternoon on February 26. That gives investigators a window of roughly 12 hours when the abduction could have occurred, though the darkness of night suggests the crime happened in those early morning hours. The location of Donna's abandoned car provides another critical piece of information. The sewer treatment plant area sits approximately 2 miles from the Macho home, connected by quiet residential streets. Investigators walk the route, looking for witnesses, checking for businesses with security cameras. Though such technology is rare in 1984, they find nothing. No one reports seeing Donna's car being driven. No one witnesses anything suspicious. Detectives focus on the biological evidence found in Donna's bedroom. Even with the limitations of 1984 forensic technology, they know this sample represents their best chance at identifying the perpetrator. They send it to the New Jersey State Police Laboratory for analysis. The results come back with basic genetic markers, but nothing specific enough to pinpoint an individual. In a pre-DNA database era, this evidence can only eliminate suspects, not identify them. The investigation expands outward. Detectives interview everyone in Donna's life. They speak with co-workers at the law office where she works as a secretary. Every colleague describes her as professional, friendly, and reliable. No one reports any concerning incidents, no stalkers, no threatening behavior from clients or visitors. Investigators talk to Donna's modeling contacts. They examine her portfolio sessions, speaking with photographers and agencies she's worked with. Everyone remembers Donna fondly. No one raises red flags. The modeling world, which sometimes harbors predators, appears clean in Donna's case. Detectives turn their attention to romantic relationships. They interview current and former boyfriends. Each one provides alibis for the night Donna disappears. Police verify their whereabouts, checking phone records and speaking with witnesses who can confirm their locations. One by one, these potential suspects get cleared. The door-to-door canvass of the Cherry Brook Lane neighborhood yields little useful information. Neighbors report nothing unusual on the night of February 25, 26. No strange vehicles, no suspicious persons, no sounds of disturbance. The predator who enters the Macho home does so like a ghost, leaving almost no trace of his presence beyond the biological evidence in Donna's bedroom. But then detectives catch a break. Sort of. Around the same time Donna vanishes, a series of disturbing crimes plague the Windsor and Plainsboro area. Several young women report being attacked in their homes by an intruder who enters through unlocked doors and windows. The pattern is consistent and terrifying. He targets women alone or in homes where family members are sleeping. He sexually assaults his victims, and he disappears into the night. One name keeps surfacing in these investigations: Nathaniel Harvey. Harvey, a resident of East Windsor, comes onto law enforcement's radar through multiple incidents. Born on March 23, 1950, he has a history of violence against women that stretches back years. In October 1978, he follows a 24-year-old woman to her home in Monroe Township, then forces his way inside and attacks her when she goes to retrieve information he requested. This establishes his method: stalking victims, gaining access to their homes, using the element of surprise. In early 1984, Harvey's crimes escalate. Multiple women report similar attacks. He enters unlocked homes in the pre-dawn hours, holds his victims captive, and sexually assaults them. His pattern fits perfectly with what investigators believe happened to Donna Macho. Then, in October 1984, just months after Donna's disappearance, Harvey strikes again, but this time, his victim doesn't survive. Irene Schnaps, a 37-year-old widow from Plainsboro, is raped and murdered in her apartment. The brutality of the crime shocks the community. Police arrest Harvey on October 28, 1984, initially for attempting to kidnap a 13-year-old girl in West Windsor. During the search of his vehicle, investigators discover a watch stolen from Schnaps's apartment. A sneaker print from Harvey's car matches one found at Schnaps's crime scene. Harvey becomes the focus of intense scrutiny. Detectives investigating Donna's disappearance immediately see the connections. Harvey lives in East Windsor, the same community as the Macho family. He works at a farm in nearby Cranberry. Investigators make a note of this detail, though they don't yet understand its significance. His pattern of entering homes through unlocked doors and attacking young women mirrors what likely happened to Donna. Investigators bring Harvey in for questioning about Donna's case. They compare the biological evidence from Donna's bedroom to samples from Harvey. But here's where the limitations of 1984 forensic science become frustratingly apparent. The DNA testing available at the time isn't precise enough to definitively match Harvey to the crime scene evidence. Detectives can't exclude him, but they can't conclusively link him either. The evidence is suggestive, but not definitive. Harvey worked at a farm in Cranberry. Donna's car was found near a sewer plant within walking distance of Harvey's residence. The biological evidence in Donna's bedroom indicates a sexual predator, and Harvey is a known sexual predator operating in the same geographic area at the same time. But without Donna's body and without a definitive DNA match, prosecutors can't build a case strong enough for charges. The investigation hits a wall. Harvey goes to prison for the murder of Irene Schnaps, and while detectives believe he's also responsible for Donna's disappearance, they can't prove it. The Macho family refuses to give up hope. They hire private investigators. They consult with psychics and trackers, spending thousands of dollars searching for any sign of Donna. They post flyers throughout central New Jersey. They give interviews to local media, keeping Donna's name and face in the public consciousness. Betty and Garland appear on local news broadcasts, pleading for information. Years pass with no answers. The family holds on to the slim possibility that Donna might still be alive, perhaps suffering from amnesia, perhaps being held somewhere against her will. It's the kind of desperate hope that families cling to when the alternative is too painful to accept. Then, on April 2, 1995, more than 11 years after Donna's disappearance, a Boy Scout troop leader, hiking through a wooded area near a farm in Cranberry, makes a grim discovery. Skeletal remains, partially concealed by years of accumulated leaves and forest debris, lay in a shallow depression. The Boy Scout leader immediately contacts police. Investigators secure the scene and begin the careful process of recovering and documenting the remains. The location is significant. These woods sit adjacent to the very farm where Nathaniel Harvey briefly worked in early 1984. The same farm that investigators noted during their initial investigation. The same farm that's less than 2 miles from where Donna's car was found abandoned. Forensic anthropologists examine the remains. Years of exposure to the elements have reduced the body to bones, making traditional identification methods impossible. But dental records provide definitive answers. The remains belong to Donna Dee Macho. The 19-year-old woman who vanished from her basement bedroom is finally found, just miles from her home, in a location connected to their prime suspect. The medical examiner conducts a thorough analysis of the skeletal remains. The initial autopsy report indicates Donna died from a head injury, possibly a gunshot wound. This suggests execution-style murder, cold and calculated. But the condition of the remains makes definitive determination difficult. What's certain is that Donna died from traumatic injury, and her body was dumped in these woods shortly after her death. The discovery brings the Macho family's worst fears to reality. For 11 years, they held onto hope, however faint. Now they must face the finality of Donna's death. But the discovery also reignites the investigation. Detectives have a body now. They have a crime scene. They have evidence to re-examine. They return to Nathaniel Harvey. He's in prison, serving a life sentence for Irene Schnaps's murder after his death sentence gets overturned on appeal, and he's retried. Investigators question him about Donna's case again. Harvey maintains his innocence. Without stronger evidence linking him to the crime, the case stalls once more. The biological evidence from Donna's bedroom remains in storage. DNA technology is improving year by year, but the sample has already been tested multiple times with inconclusive results. Investigators move on to other cases, though Donna's file never officially closes. The Macho family buries Donna's remains, finally able to lay their daughter to rest after more than a decade of uncertainty. They create memorials, establish ways to honor her memory, but they never get the justice they desperately seek. The man they believe killed their daughter sits in prison for another crime, but Donna's murder remains officially unsolved. And that's where the case hits a wall that would last for more than 25 additional years. The late 1990s and early 2000s pass with Donna Macho's case file gathering dust in the East Windsor Police Department archives. Detectives who worked the original investigation retire or transfer. New officers take their places, inheriting cold case files they didn't start. Donna's name becomes one of many on the list of unsolved homicides that haunt every police department. Nathaniel Harvey remains in prison throughout this period. His legal saga continues as he appeals his conviction in the Irene Schnaps murder. In 1986, a jury convicts him and sentences him to death. Harvey's attorneys argue that police violated his Miranda rights during interrogation. The appellate court agrees, overturning the conviction. A second trial in 1994 results in another guilty verdict and another death sentence. Harvey continues to maintain his innocence in Schnaps's murder, claiming police coerced his confession. Then, in 2007, New Jersey abolishes the death penalty. Governor John Corzine signs the legislation, making New Jersey the first state to legislatively end capital punishment since the Supreme Court reinstated it in 1976. Harvey is one of only 8 men on New Jersey's death row when this happens. His sentence is commuted to life in prison without possibility of parole. He transfers to Southwood State Prison in Bridgerton, where he will remain for the rest of his life. During all these years, Harvey's name never disappears completely from the Donna Macho investigation. Detectives periodically review the case file, looking for new angles or evidence they might have missed. Every few years, someone pulls out the biological samples from Donna's bedroom and checks whether new DNA technology might yield better results. Each attempt produces the same frustrating outcome. The DNA markers aren't clear enough for a definitive identification. The sample has been tested so many times that investigators worry about degrading it further. They know the evidence theoretically contains the killer's genetic profile, but 1980s collection and storage methods weren't designed for the sophisticated analysis that modern technology requires. The Macho family never stops searching for answers. Julie, who was just 14 when she last saw her sister alive, grows into adulthood carrying the weight of that final conversation. She becomes Donna's advocate, pushing police to keep investigating, refusing to let her sister's case fade into obscurity. The family creates a website, justice4donna.tripod.com, posting photos of Donna, chronicling her life, and pleading for anyone with information to come forward. "Someone has talked, we know it," the website declares. "Please help us find out who brutally murdered my sister." But the years stretch on with no breakthroughs. The website receives visitors, but no actionable tips. The family holds memorial gatherings on significant anniversaries: Donna's birthday, the anniversary of her disappearance, the date her remains were found. They light candles, share stories, and keep Donna's memory alive. Yet justice remains elusive. Meanwhile, DNA technology advances at a remarkable pace. What seemed impossible in 1984 becomes routine by the 2010s. Genetic genealogy emerges as a revolutionary investigative tool. In 2018, the Golden State Killer case demonstrates the power of this new technique. Investigators use DNA from crime scenes to build family trees through genealogy databases, narrowing down suspects through their relatives' genetic profiles. The success of that case opens new possibilities for cold case investigations nationwide. Police departments across the country begin re-examining their coldest cases with fresh eyes. New Jersey establishes the Cold Case Network in 2019, creating specialized task forces dedicated to solving decades-old murders. The program pools resources from multiple jurisdictions, bringing together experienced investigators with advanced forensic capabilities. These task forces have access to cutting-edge DNA technology, including genetic genealogy tools and more sensitive testing methods that can extract profiles from degraded samples. The Central Regional Cold Case Task Force operates as part of this network under the New Jersey Attorney General's Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. The team consists of seasoned detectives who know how to work old cases, forensic scientists who understand the latest technology, and prosecutors who can navigate the legal complexities of decades-old evidence. In February 2022, Mercer County prosecutor Angelo J. Onofre makes a decision that changes everything for the Macho family. He directs his office to present Donna's case to the Central Regional Cold Case Task Force. The timing is deliberate. It's been 38 years since Donna disappeared, and Onofre believes the case deserves a fresh look with modern resources. The task force accepts the case. Investigators pull out all the physical evidence stored since 1984, including the crucial biological samples from Donna's bedroom. They catalogue every item, examining the chain of custody to ensure everything remains admissible in court. The evidence has been moved, tested, and stored multiple times over nearly 4 decades, but meticulous record-keeping means it can still be used. Detectives review the original investigation files. They read every witness statement, every lab report, every detective's note. They create new timelines, identifying gaps in the investigation and potential leads that weren't fully pursued. They look at the case with the benefit of hindsight, knowing things about criminal behavior and forensic science that investigators in 1984 couldn't have known. The biological evidence from Donna's bedroom goes to the New Jersey State Police Central Regional Laboratory. This time, forensic scientists use technology that didn't exist during previous testing. Modern DNA analysis can extract genetic profiles from minuscule samples, from degraded evidence, from biological material that earlier techniques couldn't process effectively. The lab works carefully. They know this might be their last chance to extract usable DNA from evidence that's been tested multiple times already. The technicians use advanced extraction methods, sophisticated amplification techniques, and sensitive detection equipment. They work with microscopic amounts of genetic material, coaxing a full DNA profile from samples that yielded only partial profiles in earlier tests. People like Nathaniel Harvey count on silence to cover their evil. Show them your voice stands for justice. Type "Justice for Donna Macho" in the comments and hit that like button. Weeks pass as the laboratory processes the evidence. The forensic scientists know they're working on a case that has haunted investigators for decades. They understand that a family has waited 38 years for answers. The pressure to get it right is immense. Finally, the results come back. The modern DNA technology successfully creates a complete genetic profile from the biological evidence found in Donna's bedroom. This profile is clear, definitive, and detailed enough for comparison against known samples. Investigators already have Nathaniel Harvey's DNA in the system from his conviction in the Irene Schnapp's murder. They run the comparison. It's a match, not a possible match, not a probable match, a definitive, incontrovertible match. The DNA found in Donna Macho's bedroom belongs to Nathaniel Harvey. The forensic scientists confirm that Harvey's genetic profile is the only DNA evidence in that room that shouldn't have been there. This eliminates the possibility of contamination or coincidental presence. Harvey was in Donna's bedroom, and his biological material indicates sexual assault. The match connects every piece of circumstantial evidence that investigators accumulated in 1984. Harvey lived in East Windsor. He worked at the cranberry farm where Donna's body was found. He was actively committing sexual assaults in the area during the exact time period. Donna's car was discovered within walking distance of his home. His pattern of entering unlocked homes and attacking young women fits perfectly with what happened to Donna. For the first time, investigators can definitively place Harvey at the scene of Donna's abduction and assault. The DNA evidence transforms the case from circumstantial suspicion to scientific certainty. But there's a problem, a significant problem. Nathaniel Harvey died on November 27, 2020. He passed away at Southwood State Prison in Bridgerton, where he was serving his life sentence for the Irene Schnapp's murder. He died 16 months before the Cold Case Task Force even began reviewing Donna's case. He never knew that modern DNA technology would eventually prove his guilt in a crime he evaded justice for during his entire lifetime. The man who murdered Donna Macho will never face trial for her death. He'll never be formally charged. He'll never hear a jury pronounce him guilty. Justice, in the traditional sense, can never be served. Yet the Cold Case Task Force continues building their case. They need to be absolutely certain before announcing their findings to Donna's family and the public. They eliminate other potential suspects through DNA comparison. They re-interview witnesses whose memories might have clarified over time. They verify every detail of Harvey's movements in early 1984, confirming his access to the locations relevant to Donna's case. By early 2023, investigators feel confident in their conclusions. They've exhausted every lead. They've tested every piece of viable evidence. They've considered alternative theories and ruled them out. The evidence points conclusively to Nathaniel Harvey as Donna Macho's killer. Now comes the difficult task of telling the family that they finally have answers. But those answers come decades too late to bring the perpetrator to justice in a courtroom. But in April 2023, a breakthrough would finally emerge from the most unexpected source. On April 26, 2023, New Jersey Attorney General Matthew J. Platkin stands before cameras and reporters to make an announcement that has been nearly 4 decades in the making. Beside him, Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo J. Onofre prepares to deliver news that will finally bring closure to a family that has waited 39 years for answers. The official statement is clear and definitive. Investigators have conclusively identified Nathaniel Harvey as the individual responsible for the sexual assault and murder of Donna Dee Macho in 1984. The announcement comes during National Crime Victims' Rights Week and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, adding symbolic weight to the revelation. For the Macho family, watching from home or perhaps present at the press conference, this moment represents the culmination of nearly 14,000 days of not knowing, of suspecting, but never being able to prove, of living with a murder that officially remained unsolved. Attorney General Platkin acknowledges the collaborative effort that made this breakthrough possible. By sharing personnel, expertise, and technological resources, the Central Regional Cold Case Task Force took a fresh look at this decades-old mystery and identified the suspect in this horrific crime, he says. His words emphasize the importance of persistence, of never giving up on victims whose cases went cold before modern forensic technology existed. Prosecutor Onofre provides the details that demonstrate the thoroughness of the reinvestigation. All of the evidence that was viable to be tested has been tested, and all leads have been exhausted, he explains. After a comprehensive, cooperative investigation, cold case detectives were able to eliminate other potential suspects and are confident that Nathaniel Harvey is the perpetrator in the sexual assault and murder of Ms. Macho, and the case is now closed. The announcement includes technical details that help the public understand how investigators reached their conclusion. The Cold Case Task Force submitted all physical evidence to the New Jersey State Police Central Regional Laboratory in 2022. This evidence included the semen found in Donna's bedroom during the original 1984 investigation, the same evidence that couldn't be definitively matched to an individual back then. Modern DNA technology changed everything. The sophisticated techniques available in 2022 allowed forensic scientists to extract a complete genetic profile from the decades-old sample. When they compared this profile to Nathaniel Harvey's DNA, which was already in law enforcement databases from his conviction in the Irene Schnapp's murder, the match was unmistakable. The forensic analysis went further. Scientists determined that Harvey's DNA was the only DNA evidence in Donna's bedroom that shouldn't have been present. This finding eliminates any possibility of innocent explanation. Harvey had no legitimate reason to be in that basement bedroom. His biological material indicates sexual assault. The science doesn't lie. The press conference reveals additional details that strengthen the circumstantial case against Harvey. Donna's body was discovered in woods adjacent to the Cranberry Farm where Harvey worked in early 1984. Her abandoned vehicle was found near a sewer treatment plant within easy walking distance of Harvey's residence. The geographic connections that investigators noted in 1984 now make complete sense in light of the DNA evidence. Authorities explain Harvey's criminal pattern during the period when Donna disappeared. He systematically targeted young women, entering their homes through unlocked doors and windows during the pre-dawn hours. He held his victims captive and sexually assaulted them. Multiple women reported similar attacks throughout the Windsor and Plainsboro area in 1983 and 1984. Harvey's method of operation fits exactly with what investigators believe happened to Donna. The announcement addresses why Harvey was identified as a suspect early in the investigation, but never charged. DNA technology in 1984 simply wasn't precise enough to make a definitive match. Investigators couldn't exclude Harvey, but they couldn't conclusively link him to the crime either. Without Donna's body, which wasn't discovered until 1995, and without ironclad forensic evidence, prosecutors couldn't build a case that would hold up in court. Before we get to the arrest that shocked everyone, share this video with someone who follows true crime. Stories like Donna Macho's need to be heard. Also, drop a comment. What's the weather like where you are? Colonel Patrick J. Callahan, Superintendent of the New Jersey State Police, speaks about the significance of solving such an old case. Nearly 40 years have passed since the life of a 19-year-old was mercilessly stolen by a predator who discarded her remains in a shallow grave, leaving them unrecovered for more than 10 years, he says. Time does not erase the quest for justice. And although this murderer was imprisoned for another killing and died in custody in 2020, it does not make this conclusion any less meaningful. His words acknowledge a painful reality. Traditional justice through trial and conviction is impossible because Harvey died before the DNA breakthrough occurred. But the superintendent emphasizes that identifying the perpetrator, proving his guilt through modern science, and officially closing the case still matters profoundly to the victim's family and the community. The press conference includes background on Nathaniel Harvey that paints a picture of a serial predator. Born on March 21, 1950, Harvey compiled a disturbing record of violence against women over many years. His earliest known attack occurred in October 1978, when he stalked a 24-year-old woman to her home in Monroe Township, then forced his way inside and assaulted her. Harvey's crimes escalated. Throughout the early 1980s, he developed a specific pattern, identifying vulnerable targets, watching their routines, then striking when they were most defenseless. His attacks focused on women alone in their homes, or in residences where other family members were sleeping in different rooms. He moved silently, exploited unlocked doors, and used the element of surprise to control his victims. The announcement details Harvey's arrest and conviction for the October 1984 murder of Irene Schnaps, the 37-year-old Plainsboro widow. Police arrested Harvey on October 28, 1984, initially for attempting to kidnap a 13-year-old girl. During the search of his vehicle, investigators found evidence linking him to Schnaps's murder. A watch stolen from her apartment and sneaker prints matching those found at her crime scene. Harvey went to trial for Schnaps's murder in 1986. The prosecution's case relied heavily on a confession Harvey allegedly gave after his arrest. Harvey's defense attorneys argued the confession was coerced and shouldn't be admissible. Despite these challenges, the jury convicted Harvey and sentenced him to death. His attorneys immediately appealed on grounds that police violated his Miranda rights. In a stunning legal development, appellate courts agreed with Harvey's attorneys. The conviction was overturned. Harvey faced a second trial in 1994, which again resulted in conviction and a death sentence. Throughout all of this, Harvey maintained his innocence in the Schnaps murder, claiming police fabricated evidence and forced false confessions. When New Jersey abolished the death penalty in 2007, Harvey's sentence was commuted to life in prison without possibility of parole. He remained incarcerated at Southwood State Prison in Bridgeton until his death on November 27, 2020, at age 70. The announcement makes clear that while Harvey evaded justice for Donna's murder during his lifetime, the case is now officially solved. The Mercer County Prosecutor's Office formally closes the investigation, listing Nathaniel Harvey as the conclusively identified perpetrator. Though he'll never stand trial, though a jury will never pronounce him guilty, though a judge will never sentence him, the evidence speaks with scientific certainty. For Donna's sister, Julie Berger, the announcement brings a mixture of relief and frustration. She waited 39 years for this confirmation. She always believed Harvey was responsible. Investigators had told the family about their suspicions decades earlier, but suspicion and proof are different things. Now she has proof. Now she knows with certainty what happened to her sister that terrible February night. The family finally receives Donna's full remains for burial after the case closes. During the process, Julie experiences a moment she interprets as a sign from her sister. A ladybug lands on her arm as she prepares to lay Donna to rest. Julie believes it's Donna's way of reaching out, of acknowledging that justice has finally been served, even if it came too late for courtroom proceedings. When detectives brought all the evidence together, what they revealed was beyond disturbing. The announcement that Nathaniel Harvey is definitively identified as Donna Macho's killer raises an important question. Was Harvey ever directly confronted about Donna's murder before his death in 2020? The answer is yes, multiple times, though he never confessed to the crime. Investigators first questioned Harvey about Donna's disappearance in late 1984 and early 1985, shortly after his arrest for Irene Schnaps's murder and the attempted kidnapping of the 13-year-old girl. At that time, East Windsor detectives laid out the evidence connecting him to Donna's case, the geographic proximity, his pattern of attacking young women in their homes, the timing that placed him in the area when Donna vanished. Harvey's response was consistent and predictable. Denial. He claimed no knowledge of Donna Macho. He said he never entered the Macho home. He insisted he had nothing to do with her disappearance. When investigators confronted him with the biological evidence found in Donna's bedroom, Harvey offered no explanation. He simply continued to deny any involvement. The interrogation techniques available to 1980s investigators were different from modern methods. Detectives couldn't present DNA evidence with the certainty that would come decades later. They couldn't say, "Your DNA is in that bedroom and there's no innocent explanation." Instead, they had to work with blood type markers and less definitive genetic information. Harvey understood this limitation. He knew the evidence couldn't conclusively prove his presence. Detectives tried various approaches. They detailed his criminal pattern, showing how the attack on Donna fit perfectly with his known method of operation. They pointed out that her car was found near his residence. They explained that her body, when eventually discovered, was located near the farm where he worked. They built a circumstantial case that any reasonable person would recognize as overwhelming. Harvey remained unmoved. He was already facing charges for murdering Irene Schnaps, a case where the evidence against him was stronger and more immediate. Adding a confession to Donna's murder would gain him nothing and potentially complicate his legal defense. He chose to stay silent on Donna's case while fighting the charges he knew he couldn't avoid. After his conviction for Schnaps's murder, investigators questioned Harvey again about Donna. This happened multiple times over the years as the case periodically received renewed attention. Each time, Harvey gave the same response: denial. He maintained this position even as he spent decades in prison, even as his death sentence got overturned and reimposed, even as capital punishment was abolished and his sentence was commuted to life. Harvey's former defense attorney, Eric Kleiner, spoke to the media after the 2023 announcement identifying Harvey as Donna's killer. Kleiner represented Harvey in the Schnaps murder case and witnessed firsthand the controversial aspects of that investigation and prosecution. "There's a lot of problems with everything having to do with Harvey," Kleiner said, referring to the troubled history of Harvey's confession in the Schnaps case and questions about whether police violated his rights. Kleiner declined specific comment on Donna's case, but cautioned that the evidence should be carefully scrutinized. His statement reflects the reality that Harvey maintained his innocence in the Schnaps murder despite 2 convictions, claiming police coerced his confession. This history makes it understandable that Harvey never confessed to Donna's murder. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose by admitting to additional crimes. The interrogation dynamic changed significantly after Donna's body was discovered in 1995. Now investigators could present concrete evidence of murder, not just suspicion of abduction. They returned to Harvey in prison, armed with new information about where Donna's remains were found and how that location connected to him. "You worked at that farm," detectives told him. "Her body was in the woods right next to where you worked. Her car was walking distance from your house. The evidence from her bedroom suggests sexual assault, and that's your pattern. How do you explain all of this?" Harvey's response remained unchanged. He denied involvement. He offered no alternative theories. He provided no explanations for the circumstantial connections. He simply refused to engage with the evidence in any meaningful way. This is not uncommon among serial offenders, particularly those who believe they can avoid additional legal consequences by staying silent. Harvey was already serving life in prison for Schnaps' murder. Confessing to Donna's murder wouldn't change his sentence or his circumstances. In his calculation, there was no benefit to being forthcoming about additional crimes. The lack of a confession means investigators never learned certain details about Donna's final hours. They know Harvey entered the Macho home through an unlocked door or window. They know he encountered Donna in her basement bedroom sometime after 2 a.m. The physical evidence indicates he sexually assaulted her in that room. They know he forced her to leave the house, got her into her car, and drove to the area near the sewer treatment plant. They know he killed her, likely with a blow to the head, and disposed of her body in the woods near the cranberry farm where he worked. But the specific details, what was said, how long the attack lasted, whether Donna tried to fight back, whether she pleaded for her life, these remain unknown. Harvey took those details to his grave when he died in prison in November 2020. The medical examiner's analysis of Donna's remains provided some information about her death. The original 1995 autopsy suggested a gunshot wound to the head, indicating an execution-style murder. However, when the Cold Case Task Force re-examined the case in 2022-2023, forensic experts took another look at the skeletal evidence. They determined that while a head injury definitely caused Donna's death, the evidence wasn't conclusive enough to say definitively that it was a gunshot wound. The official cause of death was amended to evidence of homicidal violence, with the manner of death remaining a homicide. This medical finding suggests Harvey killed Donna with blunt force trauma to the head, possibly using a weapon like a rock, a piece of wood, or the same type of improvised implement that many violent offenders use when they don't have access to or don't want to risk using firearms. The shallow grave where he left her body indicates he spent minimal time on disposal. He likely wanted to return to his residence quickly, before dawn, before anyone might notice his absence. What investigators can definitively state based on the totality of evidence is that Nathaniel Harvey entered the Macho home on the morning of February 26, 1984, sexually assaulted 19-year-old Donna in her basement bedroom while her family slept upstairs, forced her to leave with him, drove her to a location where he murdered her, and disposed of her body in woods near his workplace. He then abandoned her car near a sewer treatment plant close to his residence and returned home, likely before sunrise, as if nothing had happened. Harvey committed this crime during a period when he was actively attacking multiple women in the area. Donna was one victim among several, though she was the only one he murdered besides Irene Schnaps. His pattern suggests escalation, starting with sexual assault and progressing to murder when victims posed some threat of identification or when circumstances prevented him from releasing them safely. With no confession and no trial, prosecutors never had the opportunity to present a complete narrative of Harvey's crimes to a jury. But the physical evidence, the geographic connections, the pattern of behavior, and most importantly, the definitive DNA match all tell the same story. Nathaniel Harvey murdered Donna Macho, and modern science proved it beyond any doubt, even though he never admitted it. With the evidence conclusively identifying Harvey as the perpetrator, authorities moved quickly to ensure the Macho family finally received the closure they deserved for nearly 4 decades. The announcement on April 26, 2023, brings a resolution that is both satisfying and frustrating. There will be no trial for Nathaniel Harvey. No jury will hear the evidence against him. No judge will pronounce sentence. Harvey died in prison on November 27, 2020, more than 2 years before the DNA breakthrough that would definitively prove his guilt in Donna Macho's murder. This reality represents one of the most challenging aspects of cold case investigations. Sometimes, by the time technology catches up and evidence finally speaks clearly, the perpetrator has already escaped earthly justice through death. Harvey lived to age 70, spending his final 35 years in prison for the Irene Schnaps murder, but he never faced formal charges for what he did to Donna. Yet the official closure of the case carries profound significance for the Macho family and the East Windsor community. After 39 years of uncertainty, of suspecting but not knowing, of waiting for answers that seemed like they might never come, Donna's family finally has definitive proof of what happened to their daughter and sister. The Mercer County Prosecutor's Office formally closes the investigation, listing Nathaniel Harvey as the conclusively identified perpetrator. This official designation matters in ways that extend beyond paperwork. It means Donna's death certificate can be updated with accurate information about her killer. It means the case is no longer unsolved in law enforcement databases. It means future researchers looking at cold cases will see this one marked cleared by DNA evidence rather than open investigation. Prosecutor Angelo J. Onofre emphasizes the thoroughness of the reinvestigation. His office didn't simply match DNA and call it solved. The cold case task force eliminated other potential suspects through additional DNA comparisons. They re-interviewed witnesses whose statements were on file from the original investigation. They verified every detail of Harvey's whereabouts and activities in early 1984. They built a case strong enough to bring to trial if Harvey was still alive. We are confident that Nathaniel Harvey is the perpetrator in the sexual assault and murder of Ms. Macho, and the case is now closed, Onofre states publicly. This confidence comes from scientific certainty, backed by thorough investigative work. The legal framework for how to handle cases where the perpetrator dies before charges can be filed varies by jurisdiction. In New Jersey, prosecutors have the authority to officially identify a deceased person as the perpetrator based on conclusive evidence. This differs from cases where charges are filed and then dropped due to the defendant's death. Here, the evidence is strong enough that charges would have been filed if Harvey were alive, and that's sufficient for official closure. Had Harvey been alive when the DNA match was confirmed in 2022-2023, he would have faced charges of murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault in connection with Donna's death. New Jersey law has no statute of limitations on murder charges, meaning prosecutors could have brought charges regardless of how much time had passed. The DNA evidence alone would have been sufficient for an arrest warrant and indictment. A hypothetical trial would have presented overwhelming evidence to a jury. Prosecutors would have shown the DNA match proving Harvey was in Donna's bedroom where sexual assault occurred. They would have presented the geographic evidence. Harvey's residence near where Donna's car was abandoned, his workplace adjacent to where her body was found. They would have demonstrated his pattern of attacking young women in their homes during the exact time period when Donna was murdered. They would have brought in expert witnesses to explain the DNA science and its reliability. Harvey's defense attorneys would have faced nearly impossible challenges. The DNA evidence is scientifically sound and conclusive. The geographic connections are undeniable. The pattern of behavior is well documented through his other crimes. The only real defense strategy would have been to argue procedural issues, whether the evidence was properly collected and stored, whether chain of custody was maintained, whether modern testing of decades-old samples is reliable. But none of these arguments would likely have succeeded given the meticulous documentation of how the evidence was handled. In the Irene Schnapp's murder case, Harvey's conviction was overturned once on Miranda violation grounds, then reinstated at a second trial. That legal history shows Harvey's willingness to fight charges aggressively and his attorney's skill at identifying procedural issues. But the Donna Macho case has a cleaner evidentiary record. The DNA was collected properly in 1984, stored appropriately, and retested using scientifically accepted methods in 2022. The case would have been significantly harder to challenge than the Schnapp's murder prosecution. A guilty verdict would have been almost certain. Harvey would have received a life sentence for Donna's murder, to be served consecutively with his existing life sentence for the Schnapp's murder. Since he was already ineligible for parole, the practical impact would have been minimal. He would have died in prison either way. But the symbolic impact of a conviction would have been significant for the Macho family. The absence of a trial means the family never gets their day in court. They never have the opportunity to look Harvey in the eye as evidence of his crimes is presented. They never hear a jury foreman announce guilty on all counts. They never get to read victim impact statements before sentencing. These rituals of justice, while not bringing Donna back, provide psychological closure that many families of murder victims describe as essential to their healing process. Julie Berger, Donna's younger sister, experiences mixed emotions about the resolution. She waited from age 14 to age 53 for definitive answers about what happened to the sister she watched horror movies with that final night. The DNA confirmation validates what she suspected for decades, that Nathaniel Harvey took Donna from their family. But the fact that Harvey died without facing charges for Donna's murder, that he never had to answer in court for what he did, leaves an incomplete feeling. "We always believed it was him," Julie tells reporters after the announcement. The family had been told back in the 1980s that Harvey was a suspect. They knew about the circumstantial connections. They lived with the frustration of knowing who probably killed Donna, but watching the investigation stall without enough evidence for charges. Now they have the evidence, but Harvey is beyond reach. The family's long ordeal included not just the initial loss of Donna and the years of searching for her, but also the 11 years between her disappearance and the discovery of her remains. For more than a decade, they didn't know if she was alive or dead, if she might return someday, or if her body would ever be found. That uncertainty created a unique type of trauma, unable to fully grieve, unable to move forward, trapped in an endless state of waiting. When Donna's skeletal remains were discovered in 1995, the family could finally bury her and begin grieving properly. But they still didn't have justice. They didn't know for certain who killed her. The investigation remained technically open, but practically dormant. Years turned into decades. Harvey grew old in prison for a different murder, while Donna's case collected dust. The 2023 announcement allows the family to finally close that chapter. They can stop wondering if the right person was identified. They can stop hoping for a breakthrough that confirms what they believed. The DNA evidence provides scientific certainty that removes all doubt. Donna's murder is solved. Her killer has been identified. Even though he escaped formal justice, the truth is finally known. The case also prompts reflection on how far forensic science has advanced. In 1984, DNA analysis was just beginning to be used in criminal investigations. The technology existed but was primitive by modern standards. A sample that could only provide partial, inconclusive information in 1984 yields a complete, definitive genetic profile when tested with 2022 technology. This progression saved the Donna Macho case and has saved hundreds of other cold cases nationwide. The Cold Case Network in New Jersey, established in 2019, represents a systematic approach to applying modern forensic technology to old cases. The program has successfully solved multiple decades-old murders by retesting evidence with current DNA methods, by using genetic genealogy to build family trees that lead to suspects, and by bringing fresh investigative perspectives to cases that stalled long ago. Carolyn Murray, director of the Integrity Bureau of the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability, speaks to the importance of these efforts. The Macho case illustrates the importance and effectiveness of the Cold Case Network and its ability to dedicate resources and cutting-edge technology to cases that have long gone unsolved, she says. Her words acknowledge that while justice came late for Donna, it came because investigators refused to give up. Attorney General Platkin emphasizes this commitment. The life and the loss of Donna Macho was not forgotten, and this announcement illustrates the cold case. Network will not relent in its pursuit of justice. This promise extends to other families waiting for answers, other victims whose cases remain open, other perpetrators who believe they've gotten away with murder. The resolution of Donna's case doesn't lead to any specific new laws or policies named after her. Unlike some high-profile cases that result in legislative changes, Katie's Law in New Mexico, which expanded DNA database collection after Katie Sepic's murder, or Megan's Law, which created sex offender registries, Donna's case primarily contributes to the growing recognition of how critical DNA evidence is to cold case investigations. However, the case does reinforce the importance of properly collecting and preserving biological evidence, even when current technology can't fully analyze it. The fact that evidence from 1984 could be successfully retested in 2022 demonstrates the value of careful evidence handling and long-term storage. This lesson influences how police departments approach crime scene processing and evidence preservation today. The Macho family creates ways to honor Donna's memory beyond seeking justice for her murder. They maintain the memorial website as a tribute to who Donna was, not just a murder victim, but a vibrant young woman with dreams, talents, and a family who loved her. They share photos of Donna smiling, looking confident and beautiful, pursuing her modeling aspirations. They want people to remember her life, not just her death. When the case officially closes in 2023, Julie is finally able to receive all of Donna's remains for proper burial. The medical examiner had retained certain skeletal elements for potential future examination. With the case solved, these can be released to the family. The moment carries deep significance. 39 years after Donna's death, she can finally rest completely at peace. As Julie prepares to lay her sister to rest, a small moment brings comfort. A ladybug lands on her arm. In many cultures, ladybugs symbolize good fortune, protection, and the presence of loved ones. Julie interprets this as Donna's way of reaching out, of acknowledging that justice has finally been served. of letting her family know she can now rest. The East Windsor community, which was shaken by Donna's disappearance in 1984, receives closure as well. For nearly 4 decades, residents lived with the knowledge that someone in their community had kidnapped and murdered a young woman from her own home while her family slept nearby. The revelation that Harvey was responsible, and that he was arrested and imprisoned within months of the crime for other offences, provides some comfort. The killer didn't remain free in their community. He was behind bars from 1985 until his death in 2020. Law enforcement officials involved in the case express satisfaction with the resolution, despite its limitations. Detective work is often portrayed in media as exciting and action-packed, but the reality is that cold case investigations involve painstaking review of decades-old documents, careful retesting of evidence, and methodical elimination of alternative theories. The satisfaction comes not from dramatic arrests or courtroom confrontations, but from finally being able to tell a family the truth about what happened to their loved one. Colonel Patrick J. Callahan of the New Jersey State Police captures this sentiment in his statement about the case. Time does not erase the quest for justice. His words acknowledge that even though Harvey died before formal charges could be filed, even though there will never be a trial or conviction, the work of identifying him as Donna's killer still matters profoundly. The case closes officially on April 26, 2023, exactly 39 years, 1 month, and 31 days after Donna Dee Macho disappeared from her basement bedroom. The file that remained open for nearly 4 decades finally gets marked, cleared by DNA evidence. Donna's name moves from the list of unsolved homicides to the list of solved cold cases. Her killer is identified with scientific certainty. The truth, delayed by the limitations of technology and cut short by death, is finally known. The Donna Dee Macho case stands as a testament to the power of persistence in criminal investigations. For 39 years, her family waited for answers. For 39 years, detectives kept her file active, periodically reviewing evidence and hoping for a breakthrough. For 39 years, biological evidence collected at the crime scene sat in storage, waiting for technology to advance enough to reveal its secrets. That breakthrough finally came in 2022-2023, when modern DNA analysis definitively identified Nathaniel Harvey as Donna's killer. The resolution arrived too late for Harvey to face formal justice. He died in prison in 2020 while serving a life sentence for a different murder. But the confirmation still matters. It matters to Donna's family, who can finally stop wondering and start healing. It matters to the East Windsor community, which can close a dark chapter in its history. It matters to other families waiting for answers in their own cold cases, showing them that breakthroughs can happen even decades after hope seems lost. Donna's story reminds us that every cold case represents a real person whose life was stolen, a family torn apart by violence, a community haunted by unanswered questions. She wasn't just a case number or a forensic puzzle. She was a 19-year-old woman with dreams of becoming a model, with a close relationship with her sisters, with her whole life ahead of her. Nathaniel Harvey took all of that away on a February night in 1984, and modern science finally proved it in 2023. The advances in DNA technology that solved Donna's case continue to revolutionize cold case investigations nationwide. Genetic genealogy, sophisticated DNA extraction methods, and ever-improving databases allow investigators to solve cases that would have remained forever unsolved just a decade ago. The Golden State Killer case in 2018 opened the floodgates. Now, police departments across the country are re-examining their oldest unsolved murders with fresh hope. As of today, Nathaniel Harvey's name is officially recorded as the perpetrator responsible for Donna Dee Macho's sexual assault and murder. He died at age 70 in South Woods State Prison, having spent the last 35 years of his life behind bars for killing Irene Schnaps. He never faced charges for Donna's murder, never stood trial, never heard a guilty verdict pronounced against him. but the evidence speaks with a clarity that no court verdict could improve upon. Harvey killed Donna, and we know this with scientific certainty. The Macho family continues to honor Donna's memory while finally moving forward with the closure they desperately needed. Julie Berger, who was just 14 when she last saw her sister alive, can now reflect on Donna's life without the shadow of unanswered questions hanging over those memories. The family maintains their memorial website, ensuring that Donna is remembered for who she was, a bright, ambitious young woman with dreams and talents, not just for how her life ended. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into cases that demand justice. Donna Macho's story reminds us why these cases matter, why investigators never stop searching for truth, and why advances in forensic science represent hope for families who've waited decades for answers. Drop a comment. What cold case do you think deserves more attention? And share this video so Donna's story reaches others who need to hear it. The case also serves as a reminder to communities everywhere. Lock your doors. Nathaniel Harvey's method of operation depended on unlocked homes, on finding easy access to victims who never expected danger. The Macho family, like many families in 1984 East Windsor, trusted in their community's safety. That trust was betrayed. Today, we know better. Simple precautions can prevent tragedies. Finally, Donna's case illustrates an uncomfortable truth about serial offenders. Harvey committed multiple sexual assaults before he murdered Donna. He murdered Donna in February 1984 and then murdered Irene Schnaps in October 1984. If he had been caught after his earlier assaults, if DNA technology had existed, then as it does now, both Donna and Irene might still be alive. Every sexual assault represents not just the immediate harm to that victim, but the potential for escalation to murder. This is why solving these crimes quickly matters so much. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice may be delayed, but it should never be denied. Donna Dee Macho waited 39 years for her story to be told with certainty. Today, her killer's identity is no longer a mystery. The truth, finally revealed through the power of modern science and the dedication of investigators who refuse to give up, brings a measure of peace to a family